My aha moment came to me when I was getting ready for a wedding and I had chosen this like perfect green smoky eye tutorial that I was going to attempt to recreate. And I spent 45 minutes like applying, removing, smudging, rewinding the video, trying to recreate it. And I'm a pretty artistic person. And I struggled so much. And I pretty much went to the wedding looking like a raccoon. I've apologized since to my friend.
Yeah. We want to see the picture. By the way.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Okay.
Don't zoom in.
Okay.
So it was from this frustration and this real problem that I was like, we need to make something better. And Primer was born from that.
Welcome back to The Intersect. I'm Corey Kareen. On this show, we explore what it means to be human and find meaning in our increasingly automated world. And today we're talking beauty in the age of embodied AI. What happens when machines aren't just tools we use, but presences we live with? And when that presence is a mirror that looks back at us as a coach, a stylist, even a critic, well, we could decide what beauty looks like. I met Jacqueline Raich at a creative AI conference in Brooklyn earlier this year, waiting for a presentation by an avatar, which was very cool, by the way. Jacqueline isn't your typical tech founder. She was a retail buyer, a merchandising strategist at Bloomingdale's, and now she's building a smart mirror powered by AI called Primer. And it's not just software, it's a product you live with. It reflects you, gives personalized feedback about applying makeup, and brings out the best in you. And here's what I found really refreshing. Jacqueline is completely open about how much she relies on AI as a thought partner in her building process. She's been using all of the tooling to help her build this company, and she talks about it without any hesitation. I think that's important because AI shouldn't feel like some secret advantage. So call this a little PSA. If you're curious, use the tools. Jacqueline is proof of what's possible. She's built a company and a new first-of-its-kind product doing exactly that. I'm excited to bring you into our conversation, which happened over the course of a couple of interviews. Let's talk to Jacqueline. Jacqueline Raich, welcome to The Intersect.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, truly. You are the founder and CEO of something called Primer. What is Primer? Paint us a picture, sensory picture.
For sure. Primer is a responsive beauty system, and it's comprised of two components. The first one being an augmented reality mirror that helps you do your makeup step by step. So it gives you guidance on your face when you look in the mirror, and it shows you where to apply the makeup and how to apply the makeup personalized to your face. And then the second component is a content creator marketplace. So you're able to choose any look you want. You see it on the content creator, but then we're able to translate that to your personal features. And you're able to put that onto your mirror and then go from there. So you can buy the look and then you can also buy the products.
When you first explained it to me, you had to explain it to me a couple of times. You think, oh, it's like a photo app that's going to do something, right? But this is a physical product. This is a mirror.
Correct. So I think when people think about augmented reality, they really think about things like Snapchat. That's like kind of what we're most familiar with, where you have a screen and then you have a filter on top and you're really watching a streaming video of yourself. So one of the things that we realized was 95% of women do their makeup in an analog mirror being like the mirror you have in your bathroom.
And all mirrors that we've ever known up until really like Snapchat are like, these are analog mirrors.
Or like Lululemon Studio Mirror. All of those are considered analog mirrors. And so when all the women are doing their makeup there, we really didn't want to change their behavior. We didn't want them to have to go and like look in an app because they're simply not doing that now. Those kinds of apps exist to actually do your makeup, and TikTok has all kinds of filters to help you do your eyebrows. But those are more gimmicks and people are not actually using them. So we really wanted to show up where the customer was and have this augmented reality on the mirror. So it's going to be like magic where you look into the mirror and it's going to look like on your face there is a guidance system where you can literally know where you're supposed to apply the makeup and how. So it's going to have some kind of graphical indication to show you if you're blending, blend this way. If you're tapping, tap this way. The goal is really to teach people how they should be applying their makeup, with the ultimate goal of having the user be more confident. Because at the end of the day, it's not tech for tech's sake. It's really to achieve this end goal and to kind of fix a problem that's been happening, where there's this big divide between the content you see online and the user's ability to replicate it in their home.
But the idea that there's still a gap to replicate that is interesting. How did you come to that? Because the community part, when you were talking to me about it, originally seemed like such a powerful idea.
Yeah, it does go a little bit into history of, my professional history. And I was a merchant for many years at various department stores.
I'm just wondering if everyone knows what a merchant is at a
Oh, okay.
store. That just seems like that's a
Yeah, that's
world
like
behind the
an
curtain.
industry term. The best way to describe what a merchant is the person who shops for the shoppers and essentially decides who, what is going to, and when things are going to arrive in the store. So I spent many years doing that. And over time, I eventually got into a role where I could see what was happening across the entire organization. And all these buyers went out to go get like newness, which is really not an English word, but we use it all the time in retail, like new things for the holiday season. And then they all came back and they do this big reveal. Here's everything new that we have. And I looked around at all this stuff and I was like, none of this is new. Like, it actually might be a different color or a slightly different texture of a sweater or a jacket, but what's truly new and interesting that we're looking at? And
So innovation, there wasn't product innovation in.
there really wasn't at all. And it would be like, I love a Dyson blow dryer or a Dyson hair tool, but it would be a different color of the Dyson hair tool that already exists. So things like that, which have previously been in the market, but really weren't that new. And so I thought to myself, why don't I make something new? Why don't I make something exciting?
Hot
And
damn. Yeah, why don't you?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so
Had you ever thought about doing something like that before?
I've always been a person with ideas, but I stuck to like the straight and narrow path, which I thought was like the corporate career path. But I think I was ready to kind of like take the side exit and do my own thing. And so I really started to look around in my daily life to figure out where are some friction points and where are there real problems. And like, even so much so, I would start getting ready in the morning and I'd put on a pair of socks and I'd be like, can I create better socks? And I'd be like, nope, Bombas already did that. Can I create better leggings? No, Lululemon and Aloe have that covered. And so I'd kind of go through my day really thinking about, what is difficult to get through unnecessarily or what could be optimized. And my aha moment came to me when I was getting ready for a wedding um, for one of my friends. And I had chosen this like perfect green smoky eye tutorial that I was going to attempt to recreate. And I spent 45 minutes like applying, removing, smudging, rewinding the video, trying to recreate it. And I'm a pretty artistic person. Like, I should be able to do this. And I struggled so much. And I pretty much went to the wedding looking like a raccoon. I've apologized since to my friend.
Yeah. We wanna see the picture, by the yeah,
Yeah.
we wanna
Oh,
see it,
no.
Okay,
Don't zoom in.
okay.
So it was from this like frustration and this real problem that I was like, we need to make something better. And Primer was born from that.
At any point in that time were you thinking like, "You know what? I'm also gonna be a tech entrepreneur."
So probably not. When we were looking for the solution, it was clear to me that technology to solve this actually existed in different directions. There's virtual try-ons on the internet. You'll go on L'Oreal.com, you'll pick a lipstick and they'll apply it to your face so you know what it's going to look like prior to you buying it. There was all of this content online. Endless amounts of content online for makeup tutorials, makeup master classes. But those were not actually, connected. And so I thought to myself, what is the closest like product to something that I want to exist? And to me, the closest like product was the Lululemon Studio Mirror. So I reached out to as many people as I could at Lululemon Studio Mirror. And I was really lucky to be able to partner with the former VP of hardware. And that kind of actually expedited this entire process because he had a ton of experience in this particular realm.
It sounds like you built a prototype much sooner than you were anticipating. So do you have a prototype now?
We have the physical prototype built, but we're still working on the software part. But 3/4 done. We should be done in a few weeks. We just saw a video of the tech actually working on the mirror. I think it was a big wow moment for myself, for the other people who are working on my team with this is going to be awesome. Like, this is going to blow people's minds when they see it. And for
Why?
me,
Tell
that's
me why. Give us a little bit of like, how did it blow your mind?
have you read Harry Potter?
Of course.
Okay. Do you remember the mirror in the room of requirements? Do you know what I'm referencing? In it's
Let's refresh me. It's
Yeah,
been a very long
I'll
time.
refresh
Yeah,
your
okay.
memory. Okay, so Harry walks into this room. He looks in the mirror and he sees his parents behind him.
Yes, okay.
And then eventually at the end of the book, spoiler alert, but it's been like 30 years, so you should have read it already. He's able to like take something out of his pocket at the end of the day. When you look in the mirror, you're able to see different things than what's in the environment around you. And so it's possible to use the technology to have a different backdrop, to hold out your hand and you look in the mirror and you're holding an apple. Um, and it's really going to look true to life. And so that part, it to me is what makes it magic.
Okay, that I'm getting the magic part. So you have a prototype. What is the next step from there?
We're hoping to launch in 2027. Hardware takes a really long time to make it. And then the immediate next steps is going on a roadshow with my prototype. Technically, it's glassesless 3D technology, which most people have not seen. And so until you see it, it kind of blows your mind to understand it.
Glassesless 3D technology.
Technology.
Is this a patent that you are doing?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. It is a patent. Well, it's a pending patent.
It's a
But
pending. You have a patent
it's,
pending.
yeah.
Okay. And are there how many other products like this exist or
So there's a ton of smart mirrors out there, but what they do is they actually override your image with a streaming video blasting through the mirror. What we're doing is significantly more challenging from a technology perspective, which is having only that masking layer and only that graphical indicator on your true reflection in a mirror. And I think really that's so important for the makeup experience. Why do all these women do their makeup in an analog mirror? Why do people sit, in front of their door with their mirror, or like sit at their, counter, sit in their bathroom?
find the best light? You find the
Yeah.
best light and you go perch.
So we're bypassing all of that. And something else to consider is stickiness of things that are actually in your home. We're trying to build a routine around it.
Interesting. So the idea that because I've been thinking about this a lot, technology is a presence in our life. It exists in product form and we're existing with it in some way. The product is always there to remind the user to use it. Is this what you're saying kind of? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's definitely more sticky. Like, I'm wearing my Aura Ring. I'm probably not the average Aura Ring user. I actually don't check my stats in my app that often. But when it's like 11 p.m. and I'm doom scrolling at night, I think to myself, oh no, my stats are going to go down if I don't go to
Uh-oh.
bed now, because it's actually a physical reminder on my being that I should be, you know, doing the behavior that would get me good statistics on this app. And so I think there's something to be said
Interesting.
about something being present in your real life that actually changes your interaction with it.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely true. And also just on an existential note, the idea that we are aware that these technologies are now presences instead of just sort of, in some ways, just being this insidious force that's just in our phone or in the way we communicate by way of, email and text and Slack. You're putting technology into a product that we will interact with and know is technology.
So, what's interesting about what you just said is actually one of our mantras that we've been following is if you see the technology, we're doing it wrong.
Oh,
And our goal is really to have as seamless a user experience as possible. We actually are trying as little as possible to change customer behavior. That's why we don't want them to go to the app. We want them to sit where they're already sitting, to be where they're already being, doing their makeup, and then we're meeting them where they are. Responsive AI is how you respond, grow, learn with the customer. So, using that kind of technology is going to enable us to have memory about the customer, learn more about the customer, and then tailor these tutorials to her needs.
I see. I see. Okay, so it's going to build on the user and create and be customized and personalized to that user and their frequency or whatever their goals are. Yeah?
Exactly. A few AI philosophical
Bring
thoughts
it.
that I
I
have.
want it.
So, AI at its best really reflects who the user is and gets them to where they want to go. We think about that as we're designing for Primer. It's this force to help people achieve the looks that they want, not that we want, but that they want. I've always followed celebrity. I mean, anything about liking what's new, what's happening in the cultural zeitgeist. So I think of like the Met Gala.
Yeah, Met
Yeah.
Gala. Okay, so
So
you'll have
yeah.
all the Met Gala
So
looks.
yeah, exactly. It will be like you liked Jenna Ortega's metallic eye. Here's how you can recreate it. And
But
so
actually this time.
yes, but
Because for
actually,
your face.
yeah, because it's for your face. And you know, winged eyeliner. Like, no one can replicate a winged eyeliner. When I ever try to do it, the angle of one is like at 3 o'clock and the other one's like 11 o'clock, and it's a complete disaster. Like, the goal in my mind of all of this AI and all this new technology is giving us our time back and getting us to where we want to be, either physically or mentally. The goal of technology, at least in my view, is not to go sit in front of more technology. It's that we can have our lives back.
I like that as a sort of philosophy from a founder. And I've been thinking a lot about it that your online how can some of these online pieces create more abundance in our offline, and I don't want to say our real life, because I mean our real life is in all of these places and
Yeah.
spaces, and I think a denial of that, or I think when we say but that's not real, it's almost, it's sort of, it diminishes the fact that we are having real experiences and emotions and doing all kinds of things in a digital way, which is still us being human,
Yeah.
right? But that you can then bring some of that into the real world, which creates a better experience, a better human IRL experience.
We're trying to play in that milieu where it's really about beauty enthusiasts coming together and rallying around looks and ideas and swapping tips, swapping product recommendations, um, and going out again into the real world or the physical world outside of a tech world, um, and really feeling great about how they look.
I was going to ask you a question about, and we don't need to get into the weeds of this, but how you think about just bias inherently in this, and it, there's a million ways to think about that, work through it, and I'm sure you are.
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of goes back to making sure that you have that right balance. You actually have to be useful to the customer in order to get their buy-in at all. And so you may have stakeholders who are going to want you to have more branded placements, you know, push more content onto people. But does that actually dilute the experience that the customer is having? Does that erode the trust that they have that your recommendation is actually the best recommendation for their features for the event they have, for the outfit that they're wearing. And so we design with all of that in mind. And then from a more fundamental bias perspective, we're also trying to have the technology tested on as many different face shapes, skin tones as possible because we want to make sure that we're as inclusive as possible. Same thing with the content that we are going to have in our library. It's so important that you see yourself in the content on the library. We're saying that we can turn any look from a one person into the other, but that doesn't mean we want all the starting looks to come on the same type of person. We actually want a huge number of, different types of content creators from different backgrounds who have really different looks, really different makeup techniques to be featured there as well.
Love to hear that. You're building a product that has AI in it. How do you use AI in your day to day life?
I run everything by ChatGPT, but what I'm really doing is actually just iterating faster using ChatGPT. It's an excellent thought partner. It's an independent thought partner, and I'm not letting it make any of my decisions. But I probe it all the time in terms of trying to understand what path should I go, and I ask questions to understand if all of my assumptions are valid or if I'm not thinking of anything. And it kind of repeats back to me formalizing these ideas or solidifying these ideas. When I used to work in the corporate world, my favorite thing was having thought partners in a business. And here I have many different people that I work with on a daily basis, but it's not quite the same as like turning your chair and seeing your coworker right behind you and saying like, "Hey, I just had this crazy idea. What do you think?" Or "We have a problem. How are we going to solve it?" Uh, ChatGPT and things like ChatGPT deep research have been super helpful in being able to surface things just much, much faster or even analyze data. I was doing a pricing analysis the other day of a type of pricing analysis that I've never done before. And it's a method that I had never heard of, but you're able to break it down so that you understand it. I actually always check ChatGPT's work. Um, you still have to check AI's work because it may either not understand the prompt and sometimes it gets the math not quite correct, but at least you have the basis for understanding what you're doing. And it's a little easier than Google. Google gives you the choice of 10,000 different answers, but AI actually targets one or two answers, and then you're able to move forward much faster.
What is the pricing framework that you were unfamiliar with that you then use ChatGPT for?
Oh, I'm gonna butcher the name of something like Vanderpool, Van Strappen, I don't know. Something
Did it
something
help? Did
it did,
you
it actually did.
helpful? That's helpful to know.
One other thought, and I don't know if this is helpful or not.
Sure.
Sometimes when I don't know how to write a prompt, I will actually ask ChatGPT how to write a prompt. So, for example, when I've used Sora, which is like the image generation, and I couldn't figure out how to get it very close to what I wanted, I would ask ChatGPT if I wanted all of this various piece of information and I would upload some pictures, and then I'd say, "Write me the best prompt for Sora," and then I would put it in and I got better results.
Okay, that's a hack.
Yeah, it's helping
That's a good
itself.
hack. That's a good hack.
Yeah.
You could go viral with that hack. Very helpful. What advice would you give to a first-time founder right now?
That's a really good question. I would say I being a founder is a roller coaster. One of my advisors actually said to me that it's like running through walls constantly. But the advice that I'd give is just do it, start it if you have the ability to, and that to me is a big asterisk because obviously not everybody is able to take that shot. But if you're able to, then absolutely do it. I was taught, enter the corporate world. We should all want to work in corporate. And it's actually not for everybody. And I found myself really flourishing doing my own thing and figuring things out on my own. I've been recently thinking about how a lot of big corporations want you to think outside the box, but really it's like maybe a slightly bigger box than the box they're already in. Like, truly, it's there are limits to the thinking, and there are no limits as a founder. You can really think and try to execute whatever you think is best, and that's actually what's been most exciting for me, where if I see a design, talk to somebody, and they say something offhanded, I'm like, maybe I can incorporate that." And I'm a really curious person by nature. And so that's also part of it, just hearing ideas, finding little things, seeing little designs that I think are interesting, taking notes. I have like 10,000 screenshots on my phone of like things I think are cool or interesting, and really just being able to incorporate that.
This was such a pleasure. I'm really glad that you came on, and we look forward to seeing ourselves,
To
to
experiencing
experiencing.
ourselves in the mirror.
There,
No,
yeah,
this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
my pleasure. That was Jacqueline Raich, founder and CEO of Primer, giving us a look at the future where the mirror doesn't just show your reflection, it talks back. What stayed with me is she's not a typical AI founder. She saw a very human problem first: lack of confidence in the challenge of self-expression. And then she built a technology around that. Also, hearing her talk about relying on AI every day as a partner gave me a lot of hope. I think more and more of us are learning to treat these tools as thought partners and not as a replacement for our own thinking. That feels like a pretty healthy way to move forward. If you'd like to check out the teaser video for Primer, we've linked to it in the show notes and in this week's Intersect newsletter. And if you're enjoying our show, please give us a follow wherever you're listening. We'll see you next week.